Boop. There we go. Hey, we're up. Hello, 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 everyone. How are we doing today? Another exciting evening of crits. I know you're all excited. And just as a reminder, if you haven't subscribed to YouTube channel, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. And if you like what we're streaming, hit the little thumbs up button. And if you have any questions about what we're doing tonight, or, well, anytime on the ZBrush stream, put your questions down in chat, and either I will answer it or someone from the Pixologic staff will answer your questions as quickly as possible. So here we go. Another evening of critiques. I am loading tools because I was silly and we had someone load a ZPR and it completely messed everything up. So load up ZTLs, STLs, or OBJs. Load tool. All right. Are we on all our channels? Is everything good?
We're good on Twitch and YouTube. I'm checking Facebook now.
All right. And I assume you know who is first.
I will in a second. You're good on Facebook.
All right.
All right.
Boop. Boop. Chat. Boop. Come on. You can do it. Oh. What did I just do? No. Escape full screen. There we go. All right. Okay. Here we are. Henry will tell us who's first in a minute.
K-A-R, the one that starts with K-A-R. K-A-R-A-N. Tool name might be full decimated.
Hmm.
Let me open it up. Let's see.
Oh, K-A-I-A-N? It's Venom.
No, not K-A-I-A-N. K-A-R-A-N.
Is that the one that came in as a...
Negative. That one's different.
Okay.
They don't have very similar names this time, don't they?
So that's Jules. So I'm assuming it's this dwarf, because I don't see that anywhere in here. But, oh, there it is. It was in a folder. All right. Is Karan here? Oh, okay.
I doubt it.
that positive, I see.
You know, just early.
Yeah, it's early.
And they submitted this file at midnight last Monday.
Oh, they're going to be really angry. They're going to be like, what happened? You know I don't sign on until 2 a.m.
Luckily for them, all of these recordings are saved on YouTube, which is why you should subscribe.
Subscribe and push the like button.
Subscribe.
Wait, subscribe.
Yeah.
Okay, so for some reason, I am lagging like a gaggle. It can't be the model size, can it? It's only 45 million. Total. I mean, the subtool's only 1 million. Okay. Well, let's see what we have here. I'm going to turn off some of these things and see if that will do it in sections. How's that? Oh, look, not nearly as laggy. Got to do what I could do. We got a portable computer here. All right. Or I'm lagging for some reason or another. Okay. Hey, VFX. How's it going? Hello, Ghost. Man, that's going to make me nuts. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to turn the beard off for a second because your face is really nice. The anatomy is good. Let's turn on our beard. And obviously your beard's still being roughed out, so that is what it is. But it has, I mean, the shape and form, you know, it's nice. The hair's a good shape. Alright. Yeah, I am just lagamuffining around here. Does that help? Not much. Okay, let's look at our pads and garments. Actually, you did a really nice job with the raised around your rivets or your nails here. That's a very nice feature. I don't know if you all can see this here. I'll zoom in. Let's turn paint on, everyone. So there we go. You can see here how he has the ring and then the nail, but they're different sizes. And it just gives a nice framing to that. It gives it a resolution of intentionality, which I think is really nice. Because a lot of people just throw rivets down or throw nails down. And, you know, it's kind of hit or miss. It's like, is it a nail? Is it a rivet? Is it a... And this just looks like it was intentionally put there, which is good. Now, my question about your little ropey dingy thing here. I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to be, but I mean, like it's just a piping of some sort, but over here it's not against the edge and you can see behind it. So either I would, because on this side you kind of have it weaving under this, right? And it's kind of loose and it's lumpy over here. So I don't know if that's a piece of fabric. If it's a piece of fabric, how's it attached to the harder surface, either a metal and or I'm assuming it's metal. I guess it could be a stiff leather. But the piping, I think I either would like to see it in the corner, because then it's attached in a way as opposed to just sitting and floating. Because out here it's like, okay, well, the only way to attach it like out here is like gluing it, right? And so if you spent all this time making this lovely armor, why wouldn't you just glue it to the wall? The detail in your braid, this is, well, once again, if it's for a computer, if it's for a game or something, I guess you could get away with something this small. But if it's for manufacturing, there's no way that any of that will be seen. And it looks like these aren't matching up perfectly. That might be within your, is it in the IMM brush? Where is, I always lose this stuff. Hold on, let's see. It's in stroke modifiers, I think. Modifiers. Yeah. So when you have your insert multi-mesh brush, which I'm assuming this is, just make sure that you have weld seams. It's right here. I don't have an insert multi-mesh brush turned on, so you can't see it, but right here under modifiers, under stroke. And that should eliminate those little notches, right, where those aren't attaching. Something to think about. My keyboard is not sitting on my lap correctly. Okay, let's turn his paint off. I don't want to paint. I want no color. All right. The fabric folds look really nice. Your arm anatomy and hands are good. I mean, they're big, thick. They feel within character, you know. Okay, let's put cape on. nice. It looks good. It has weight. No, that's successful. And let's put the rest of your clothes on. Let's go to belt. Now, like this sort of has that like welted leather kind of pressed tooled thing. And here you've just cut into the surface, right? This is where, don't cut into the surface, because you just get this cut in, and I don't know if this is supposed to be like leather that's welted together, or you sort of have that kind of tooled leather feeling going on there, but these are really flat, so it's not really giving me that story of that pushed in leather. So this is where you may want to consider doing something in this vein, softening these up so it's not just a hard line. I tend to like SK Twist, but where are you? Just so it looks like it's rolled under the other side. And then that would give you a reason for these to be pinching, right? Because you sort of have this pinched leather texture going on here. And you've done this in other places on the model, but here it just reads really flat. So I think here more than in the other places, this isn't serving you well, I think. Where it looks as if you've kind of punched that. And now, because that's rolling under it, you can then come back in and give your little wrinkly deal thing going on. Oops. Oh, that's carve. Not the tool I was looking for. Here we go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever worked with a 3D metal printer before?
I've had things 3D metal printed, but I've never worked on one. Problem with 3D metal printing is the surface resolution at this point is not great. So for fine detail stuff, it's not great. But for things that are smooth or things that you want to take advantage of sort of that sandblasty surface, it can work really nicely. One day it'll get there. It's not quite there yet. So here you can see it sort of looks like you've sewn that in. My little crack sucks. Sorry, there's just no resolution there to sculpt it. But I think that you can see that that looks as if you've kind of welted everything under that front panel. I know that might not be exactly what you're looking at, but it doesn't just look like you come in and cut a line into your model. And I think that's on the belt in particular. You've done it in a couple other places, but it didn't bother me nearly as much as here. So just make that look a little bit more dimensional. Decide what is happening. Are those seams that are being stitched together? Is it something that's welted and pressed under? Is it a double seam? Figure out what's going on. Because right now, all I'm seeing is you've cut into your surface. And all your other detail made quite a bit of sense. Where's shoulder and cape? Just graphically speaking. Right, like these graphics are simple. They're nice. They work well. And then this is sort of a face, sort of a... And the thing is the belt buckle is a really prominent design feature of the character, right? Especially since the beard is just a big arrow pointing directly at it, right? It's like... So, I would say make this a very concise design. I think that the design of the buckle itself is just a little weak, or it's non-committal. You know, it's like, is it a face? Is it not a face? Is it abstract shape? And I know there's subtlety there, but you also have like these big dead spaces, and you have this implied little form in here. And I just think that I just don't think the belt buckle is necessarily well conceived. Wrap your head around it and make it a tighter design, because it's a very central part of this design. It's something that people's eyes are going to go naturally towards. Let me start soft sword. Mm-hmm. Boop, boop, boop. Let's turn everyone on. Come on. Yep. Everyone. Okay. That didn't seem to work, but there we go. Right. I just think that everything else is very geometric and very well conceived. You know, like this stuff looks like these abstract geometric patterns. You sort of have these abstract geometric patterns thrown on the boots. And it's just sort of this, you know, these patterns. But then all of a sudden you change your design vocabulary some. Like I don't see this little choppy stuff anywhere, like this sort of thing, like here, and it has these little chops, and then you have these like little shapes. You know, this looks like a face, right? And I just don't think it's enough of a face to be a face. And it's a little too like, you know, these designs build on each other. You have, you know, you have this iron band that has the rivets, and then these are on there. Then you have your braiding across it. But this is a very common, simple shape. You know, even these things here are not abstracted, right? They're tied to the form of the shape around it. You know, this is just a repeat of that corner, right? And then, yeah, see here where you did, sorry, skip. See here where you did this, it feels like it's a little bit more whelped. You know, there are these welts that are happening from that seam joining. You didn't do that on here. You just flattened these out. So get these to be a little bit more like that. But I think that your belt buckle is the weakest part of this design so far. And sadly, everything points to it, right? Come on. Wow, my machine does not like this model for some reason. Look at that. Bizarre. Alright, let's go back out just a touch. Come on. Right? I mean, everything points at this thing. And you have these big open spaces, design patterns that are nowhere else on the model. I would just say, make this more dimensional, because this is even flatter than this stuff out here, right? You know, that the belt buckle just has so little going on compared to everything else. But other than that, I mean, your fabric's looking good, your curves look good, the details look good, your fabric looks good, your hair's on its way to looking good. I mean, it's well patterned. You know, it's in the right place. Your anatomy looks good. Your scales look good. It's just your belt buckle's ugly. Well, it's not even ugly. It just, it's not, it just should be so much more well conceived because it's sitting there. Sorry. I'm not trying to be mean.
So someone in the chat pointed out that this is actually derived from a model called the Dwarf Warrior, and I just found
Okay.
it, and the belt buckle looks spot on.
Okay. Well, then it's not your design. You shouldn't worry about it. But I'll tell you what, whoever designed it, it's a crap design. I mean, maybe painted it looks stronger. Hold on, let me see. No, that's not what I want. I'm not continuing to Discord. Did you post the picture someplace?
No, I didn't post any. Just
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
general. Let me go to off topic.
Can you send me a link somewhere?
Yeah. 1 sec.
Because I mean, the model's tight. You know, I mean, it's nice. I just
Just Google that.
Google what?
Look in off topic.
Is this off topic? No, there's off topic. Stop it. Really? Come on.
Scroll.
I tried. Yeehoo? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, Google that.
Was that not supposed to include ZBrush?
No, you're good. Scroll down. No.
Okay, here he is.
Yeah, he's right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they're getting the face from paint, right? But I would say that all of my critiques of that belt buckle still stand. I don't think it really ties into the designs of anything else in there. I mean, like nowhere else is he using this weird like little choppy shape stuff. And there's so much airspace in here. And I mean, you know, it's a face. I get it. I just don't think that that's... a great design. God, I hate Pinterest. Hate it. I don't want to do 10 clicks to go someplace that's a crap picture that's not the one I picked, and it's just like, ah. Come on, Dwarf Warrior. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you're
I mean, at least now you're on the art station of the person who actually designed it.
I mean, how rare is that? Gosh, how lucky. Yeah, no. I mean, look at, you know, it's just, look at how deep and dynamic this shoulder pad is. Look at how deep and dynamic this stuff is. And then you get to this, it's just this flat board of a kind of crappy face. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think he could have spent a little bit more time making that belt buckle more interesting. Did a great job with everything else. I don't know why the belt buckle just got so meh. So, not your design, so you copied it very well. Good work. Yeah, no. I dislike that belt buckle. But I will say, I think his belt buckle is a little bit more round shaped, so he's selling the face a little better. Let's go back and look at that real quick. See the proportions of this? Right? You sort of have the head shape, brow. This makes sense as the nose. These are like little cheeks, and that's like the mouth. I wish there was just like a good picture of it. Well, there. Yeah, see, I think your proportions are just a little weird on the belt, maybe. And that is... Come on, give me the belt. I think that this is too high or this is a little off. Let's look. Why won't you just give me a nice picture from the front? Okay, there we go. See through. It might be. So I think maybe let's try this. Is symmetry turned on? Changing the angle of the eyes just a touch. So now that becomes the eyes. These are the cheek. That's the nose. That comes up a little more. Yeah, I think there's a little bit more room on the forehead. These become the cheeks, that's the nose, and then the mouth comes up. I think it's going to be a little bit more like that, where at least it'll start to feel a little bit more like a face. I think your proportions were just a little off. And I'm arguing that it's still kind of a poo design as far as the face goes, as far as I'm concerned. Everything else is super deep, and the one focal center in the middle is just this flat board thing. That's me. But I will say that I think that look at your proportions. No. Look at your proportions a little bit and double check on this image, right? Because if you look, if you're thinking about a head, right, it's got the head, the nose, the eyes, the cheekbones, the brow. These are sort of like your little cheeks, and then it's sort of like this little mouth open yelling. And I think your eyes are a little too high. These little dashes are a little too high and point up. So just check your proportions of your face with this image and see if it's on. Because your eyes look, everything seemed to look like it was pointing down a little more. All right, let's get back here real quick. So yeah, I think, because see, let's, like these guys if you're thinking about a skull or a face, right? Your cheeks are down here a little bit more. Your eyes are a little bit more like eyes. I think either this rises or there's a little bit more distance here, because your nose comes down here and the mouth kind of comes up just a touch. Because if it's a face, half, right, eyes, nose, mouth. Either this is too short or this is too long. And it's not a great design. But seeing your resource material, it looks great. I mean, I think you did a great job. And your details are good. I mean, like I said, the only thing that bothers me is the belt buckle that's not your design, so I can't really blame you. And just make these a little more similar, where you get this feel right here. See, this feels like this is a line, these are stitched, and this is doing this, right? Where here, this just looks like a flat thing with lines cut into it, and then you nipped it in like this. So make sure to get that feel of that welting back in. And I think that'll look 100 times better. But, nope, lovely. It's a good one. Who's next? Hey, Carmite.
Just.
Just.
Priestess.
Let's get rid of some paint here and look at our model. All right. Now let's look at these little guys and see if they make sense. Good job fixing those crossovers. Oh, I turned everything on. I keep getting that double hand because I turned everything on. Excuse me. So when you are doing the fabric and you're getting this, I know you're very low res here and you're dealing with the low res, but you know, divide it again and just make sure that these things really are kind of cutting in, because they really are, you know, little folds and undercuts. So, and I understand you're dealing with it at low res, so you can't get that much more necessarily, but you know, think about what's happening during that. I think you need to clean up your fabric here just a little and figure out what's going on. Oh, I got the yawns all of a sudden. It's not good, right? Because you sort of have the pin, and this is the main fold over. But what is that doing, right? I mean, what's happening with this top that's there? Is this a body implant that's tied to her? Is this a pin holding two things together? If it's a pin holding two things together, like a kilt pin, is what I initially thought. What are the two things it's holding together? Right, is it this is coming down and then that is doing that? Is it this piece is coming to here, this piece is coming to here, and then this piece is coming to here? I just don't know what exactly that's doing. But excuse me, you step by step got in there. And it looks good. I mean, obviously that's a little, just knock that back so it doesn't infringe on the body. Yeah, just come in and figure out your fabric a little bit more, right? Because, you know, things are crissing and crossing here. That crissing, that's ridiculous. Sorry. Right. So these don't look like they're just fabric swoops. You know, it looks like this is a band. Oh, here. Looks like this is a band. This is a band that's going over that band. That's crossing under. And so I assume that's going up and over. But this is coming in. That's going over. I don't know what's happening with the top. So let's go to her torso. Masking. Turn symmetry off. So I'm just going to say that's a kilt pin. It may or may not be, but right. So we know that this fabric coming over the shoulder is being held up. Okay. We know that this is going this way. And then it appears that something else is going this way. And the only reason I'd say those are separate is because in the back you have all these belts going in different directions. So what are they doing? Well, I guess you could get one belt supported that way. You know, and this is coming this way feasibly. And where's your top? Right. So, like this belt seems to be, but there's nothing on this shoulder, right? So it can't be, you know, what's this support here? Okay, so she has a sleeve. So let's say that is actually, that's doing that. That's doing that. You have a sleeve attaching in there. So that's becoming that. So in the back, what that means is that you have weight that can be supported from here. The sleeve is being attached to that. And because you have this open space, this has got to split up here somewhere. So that's probably going to do that. And it's probably going to come to the front since you have a seam here and a seam there. So you could feasibly have a wrap coming from under the arm. And that's going to do that. We got to turn that auto save back. All right, so it's probably going to be tight around this edge here because, you know, if you're holding that up, it's being held up by that tension. This is a seam and your sleeve. And you have something coming this way. And then you have this crossover going this way. So this crossover going this way would make sense if it were coming from the front. right? And it had tension. So what is that top doing up there? Okay, so that's okay. So that can be mm, 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 mm. Sinuses. So you see what I mean? You gotta kind of wrap your head around what's actually happening, and then you can make the fabric. Because there's just some things that are defying gravity here and doing odd things. Right. This, I mean, like if all this is being up, pinched, and supported, it would probably be up here a little bit more. That's there. And see if you bring it up more, you can get that to make sense. And so you can get that crossover by that pinning to the bottom edge, that pinning to that edge. And, you know, feasibly from under there, you could have, you know, something that was feasibly attaching to that underarm seam and coming over and around. I mean, I guess this all could just be one piece of fabric that's being folded up, maybe. And if that's one piece, if it's one piece, then I'm not quite sure how that hole's happening. Yep, wrap your head around what the fabric's doing. Because everything else, I mean, those changes we discussed last week, you know, you really solved a lot of these visual issues that we had. And your hair's doing okay. It's all good. I mean, I guess these could be straps holding the armor on, maybe. Or the collar. I guess it could just all be attached to that. Okay, if that's attached to that, that's one piece. Still not quite sure what's happening here. You get where we're going there. But other than that, I mean, you fixed all this stuff down here. It looks good. The face and stuff look good. The owl looks good. If I'm not mistaken, you will probably want to put a row of scale or a row of the short non-flight feathers there. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's on both sides of the wings. Yep, figure out your fabric and you're killing it. Oh. Alrighty. Who's next?
K-A-I-A-N.
Yeah. Yeah, the work in his Dark Materials is absolutely awesome. They haven't started the second one yet, have they? Isn't it still... I think COVID shut down all shooting on that. Wow, that's really horrible. No, not the model, me yawning. Sorry. Oh yeah, I didn't mean the model. I was talking about me having the yawns. I apologize. Something a little weird's going on in this thigh. Let's look and see what we got. Hold on. I know I have it right here, don't I? Really? No, here. Come on. You're not going to give me a bent thigh from the front? I'm not seeing what I'm looking for. I guess we will have to look up Bridgman. Look at that. That's just images. He did a lot of heroic scale stuff. No, it's really giving me what I want. Give me a bent front thigh, man. Bridgman legs, fine. Yeah, here. So you can see that it's still this layers. It's not just cut in like pie shapes. And let's get back in here. Right, you just lost a little bit of where this leg's better. Right, I think you just lost your way a little here on this thigh, and even with this blown out hyperanatomy, these two muscles don't really separate out like this. So look at your lower leg again. This leg's better. Just these two cords, right, in front of your calf. This just separates the leg out too much, and it actually makes the leg look thinner. Where, oops, that is not the brush I was looking for. Turn symmetry off. What's this? Is this clay tubes? Why is my clay tube? Oh, because it does not have an alpha on. Do not ask me what. Like, make sure your muscles stay in that muscle shape. They don't just become cords. And you can see by not necessarily, by implying some of that ridging instead of it just being two cords. See how much thicker the leg looks there than it does here. Hold on. Boop, boop, boop. Go back. No, we didn't go back from fine. Go back. There's just so much separation here where come on. right, it's not just 1, 2, 3 rails. You have a muscle that crosses over the front, and especially with people who have strong legs, this muscle gets really blocky. So it's not just a straight thing. You get this crossover. It starts out here and comes across. And this gets to be kind of a lumpy muscle. I have a really lumpy one of those. That does that, and then you kind of get the dual calf on the inside. You get a split in the calf over here. And that crossover is going to make it look more like the leg than if it's just those 3 rails. So double check your anatomy here. And check your calf, the front of your leg and your calf. Let's see. Man, come on. Really? This is what we get for draw superheroes? Let's do heroic. But you see what I mean here? It's not just these 3 rails. It's this crossing over of muscles. And here, this quad comes in. And it's deep. And then these. I just think you lost a little sight on what's going on here. Right? That's usually that comes in. And then you get that, and then you get that, and then you can get the striations in these, but it's not quite so broken up. Your calves and your lower legs actually do that. And see, just by... And there's a weird little lump right here. And then your calf. And this comes back in pretty far. Starts the foot. So work on these lower legs a little bit, because you spent a lot of time getting this upper torso nice. I'd say that once again in here, figure out what's actually going over and under one another, and make sure you're doing that right. You know, you're kind of getting there, but see where these muscles bulk a little differently, because right now they're all the same height and sort of the same depth, and the back's reading a little flat. Because your arms are really great, blown out, wonderful. You know, might even just get a little bit more lump right there just to punch those. You got good transitions here. Like your skin stuff here is nice. These muscles are good going down even into the super wide wrist. You know, your stuff is still in the right place. I just think you didn't spend any time down here on the lower legs. So go out and look at some of this. Look at how your legs are actually folding out a little, even in that blown out superhero stuff. I don't think it was that choppy. You're your legs are not just 3 straight lines. This muscle crosses from over here, crosses over. So don't forget that crossover. Just throwing 3 lines straight is not what happens in the front of the leg. Yeah, you know, obviously your feet are a little odd. It just looks like you got, like to here, you know, you really thought about the top a lot more. And you got it blocked in, you started detailing, and I think you got to about, the upper torso. But the back of the legs are kind of good, right? You know, so maybe, right. So now come back and tune this stuff that's masked out. Get a little bit more tension in the slobber. Right, these aren't droopy things, it's actually slobber. So make sure it has that weight, right? You know, you get straight, pulls out. Think about it in straight lines first, because it's tension, right? So what is the tension of what's happening? There has to be a tight straight line. Now, of course, things can actually then droop and have like the little gloobiness, but when you're thinking about these, think about them in straight lines, right? So if I'm going from a connection point here, right, this is my mouth. I'm going to think of it, I'm going to draw it like this first, because that's how structural tension works. And then I can come in and give this some of that separation. Does that make sense? Where these are just a little soft and lumpy. All right. But the arms and torsos look great. You know, the head, it's a nice transition. I know it's separated, so, you know, trying to get that to be perfect is tough. You know, you'll correct that stuff when you join them. Yep. Lower legs, work on your slobber. Feet. And think about this back muscle stuff a little bit more, because that is something we have here. Back. Well, you're not going to let me just search, are you? I see how you are. Where are they? We're getting there. Right. Really start to try to figure out what muscles are actually going where. And it'll help clean that up some. How come I can't find anything today? I'm a mess. Right, but you see how those aren't actually just lump, 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 lump. Something's actually happening. So if you know where they're coming from, which one's under which one's diving under, when you make those bubbly sort of, you know, overblown heroic proportion stuff, it'll start to make a little bit more sense. Come on, give me my back here. Right. But you can see how they're diving in, and they're really following that structure, right? It's not just humped. Even here, where it's very blown out, you know, the muscles still go over and under one another. And if you start to really be able to map that out, the backs will start to make a lot more sense. Right? Yeah, I think that's, yeah, even there, you can see that it looks like these are lumps, but you can see where they're going over and under, and that allows these to be in the right place when you start lining it up and going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Use Ronnie Coleman as an example. Quads. Tom Platz. Okay, let's look at Tom Platz. Of course, I've just been using this pen for... Goodness gracious. See? Yeah. Give me some pictures of... Yeah, holy Hannah. That's just ridiculous. What the hell? Look at that. Are you kidding me? Dude. Redonkulous. That's absurd. But very clearly, I think that you can see, you know, it's not just, even at something this absurd, right? You still have, this is going over the top. This is tucking out from beneath, right? That's still going under that. That's still going under that. So it's not everything looks like this. It's things look like this, right? You know, it's not just this bowie up and down. And you can see here, obviously, there aren't just two, you know, it's not just three streaks here. You have this muscle's coming over, this muscle's peeking out, that muscle comes up behind it. Your calf is split on this direction. Let's go to, wow. Goodness gracious, look at that striation there. That's madness. I mean, when I raced bicycles, I had big legs. That is just absurdity. Look at that. That's just crazy talk. But you see what I mean? It's still not, even at this extreme, it's not just these things folding down. Here, let's go back to the beginning of this. Let's go back to ground zero. You can do it. Don't crash on me. We'll let ZBrush think. We're going to go back and look at this absurdity. That is just absolute crazy talk. Is he shorter than Lou Ferrigno, or is Lou Ferrigno standing on something? Because Lou Ferrigno's short. That's the one thing you could always give Schwarzenegger, man. The dude was tall, and when you look at his proportions, they're just... He really was as good as it gets. I mean, like, he wasn't that blown out bubble. I mean, he got blown out and bubbly, but just his proportions were outrageous. On Jingle All the Way, we had tons of photo references for him because we made the little toy was based on his body. And man, when you start measuring him, literally measuring the things, his proportions are outrageous. I mean, he's just so much longer than most bodybuilders, so he doesn't get that can, you know. He has a waist, which so many bodybuilders don't have because they're a lot shorter than he was. Look at that. crazy talk. Ridiculous. All right, did ZBrush come back? So see here, see how you have a pillow, and then you have these lines cut in like this, and nothing's really going over and under each other. Everything's just sort of cut in. Where, if you go back to this silliness, yeah. Oh my God, it's just so absurd. It's so funny. Yeah, I mean, that's just the most ridiculous thing there is. But you can see that it's not a pillow with things cut in. There is distinctly a linearity. Oh my God. It's still very linear. Things are coming from their insertions and origins. So even at its most bubbled out and unrealistic, it still makes sense anatomically. Yeah. But it looks good. I mean, I think it looks like you just didn't spend as much time on the legs as you did the arms and torso. Because the arms and torso are good referenced, and yeah. Okie dokie.
Ridge wants to know, were you part of the people who made Turbo Man?
Yeah, that was. Actually, that was a great job because we were hired even before accounting was hired. And we sat on our set, and there were, I think there were five or six of us. And all we did, we sat around and just made superhero toy concepts for, oh my God, it had to be a month before even the accountants were hired. And we had so many I wish we had all those models because we had so many cool characters. And then they went with Turbo Man, and I was just like, what are y'all doing? I don't even understand. A lawyer picked that design. I know it because it sure wasn't a designer. Yeah, but we had tons of photos of Schwarzenegger because we got so many of them from him, and it's stuff you don't normally see because a lot of his training photos are real, like unposed and just him standing. So they literally checked his proportions, and they would build different muscles so his proportions were correct. Because back then proportionality was a big deal. Now it's just how absolutely bubbly can you become, I guess. But yeah, no, it was a fascinating set of photos because they had him over his time. And yeah, really, it was fascinating to see how they tuned his body to be that perfection of heroic proportions. And that was something that very few bodybuilders at the time could do, because once again, most of them they weren't that tall. Most of them were short. And he'd go out on stage, and he was like nothing else in a lot of ways. He was an amazing physique, without a doubt. There are pictures of him standing from the side and just from back to front. You're not supposed to be 2 head lengths thick. It's like, good God, dude, you can lay your head like this and your pecs are still farther out than your head is. It's like, I don't even understand that. But because he was so tall, his proportions were great. So no, when you see the pictures broken up like that, and you see how they, through the training, really hit these proportions. And like I said, we got a bunch of pictures that were from him, and a lot of it was interesting information, like from one show to the next, or from one season to the next, where they tried to change his body and how they succeeded and what they were trying to do. And you're just like, that's crazy. Yeah, it was really a fascinating thing. And then they pick that. Don't even get me started on Turbo Man. Yeah, no, I mean, he was serious about it, you know? I mean, he really wanted to be the best, and he did a lot of things to do it. Governor? I don't know. Putting on muscle weight? Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, just watching him go from not being in shape